Welcome to episode 2 of our Discover Our Spaces, our Space Tours series. I am currently standing outside of the Erindale Studio Theater. I'm going to give you a walkthrough of this space, and then I will take you to the MiST, and I'll show you our other one. Let's go! So, the first place I'm going to show you guys for the Studio Theater is the lobby, and this is what she looks like. During shows, obviously, sans stack of chairs. Look around the perimeter. There's all of these stills, and then there's more on that wall as well, and those are all stills from past shows, which is cool. Now if we come this way, we have bathrooms in the lobby, and then this way is the hallway backstage. I will cut the camera and show you the hallway while I'm not walking backwards. Actually, there's the hallway. So coming down this hallway here, first stop is wardrobe. Here she is. You've seen her before if you've seen some of our other videos where I interview Michelle, our head of wardrobe, on costumes. Some Alchemist stuff is still out, which is neat. But yeah, this is the wardrobe room. And then if we have like paint storage in there, paint room. That's the label it says on the door. Here is our carpentry workshop. We have some students hard at work. They are building. What are you guys building today? There's Sarah.
I posted D20 dice.
D20 dice. Is this for a show or just vibes? Vibes. Cool. Oh, because they're the mini models of the things that we're making for She Kills Monsters. Get excited for that. But yeah, all of the tools, all of the wood, and all that sort of stuff is in here. Everything is made. Most things are made in-house, which is neat. Yeah, say goodbye to the carpentry workshop. Bye. As you can see, our theater is still very lively, even when we are not in shows, which is pretty cool. They're always looking for TDS students to help with, especially like takedown of sets, which is just cool if you are into building and that sort of thing. They're always looking for students to light walk when they're programming for the shows, so it's like standing on the stage helping the light be programmed. And then sometimes the staff will have cool workshop opportunities like the D20 workshop that we just saw in the carpentry room. I'm going to show you the dressing room next because I am here. This is my favorite place. So here are the dressing rooms. Ooh, ah. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3 dressing rooms, and then over here, water bottle fountain. This is actually the best water on campus. It is the coldest and crispest. Trust me on this one. TDS students, you're lucky if you are in TDS and then you get to drink from this water fountain eventually, because it actually is the best. But anyways, that's a tangent. Over here we have 1, 2, 3 bathrooms. There's no one in here. I just closed it so I could show you. Wow. Here is the sink. Wow. And then I'll show you guys inside one of the dressing rooms. In there I can't show you because we have secrets for the next show. This one is a dressing room with the lights on. Pardon this black line across the screen. That's just what happens when these lights are on because of the type of lights they are. They interact with the camera. And then I'll bring you over here. This is another dressing room. This one is my favorite. I just like it the most. I don't really have a reason. Fun fact, this was my station when I was in Revolt, which was the first fourth year show of this year. But yeah, I'll also show you, this is the bulletin board in the dressing room. There's also a clock. Here is the Alchemist daily sign-in sheet. It is completed now because their show has completed its run. Oh, and also, I guess I'll show you one more thing. In each dressing room, there's like a TV screen. There's one there. There's one in the hallway, and then there's another one in there, and there's another one in that dressing room. And that's that way when you're in the shows, if you're waiting backstage, you can have a monitor. There's audio and visual of what's going on, so you don't miss any of your cues, which is neat, because we keep this door closed during shows, so that way they can't hear us. They can still kind of hear us. You should be quiet backstage. But I actually really like the Theater Erindale dressing rooms for one specific reason, among many. It's climate controlled. Water bottle fountain, like I said, best water on campus, etc., etc. But because we have 3 dressing rooms and they are not assigned a specific gender, they are split based on what the needs of the specific show and actors are, rather than assigning them from the start, which makes these dressing rooms in particular a very flexible space, which is inclusive and comfortable for the actors that are involved. You know, there are we get a range of actors, a range of identities coming into our program. That's the nature of a theater program, and it's cool that Theater Erindale has facilities that can make everyone feel safe and welcome. It's based on what the needs of the actors are and what they agree upon, which is cool. Heading out of the dressing room, coming this way is our backstage area. I guess the whole thing is backstage area if you think about it, but this is like backstage. Here is our ASM station. We have another bulletin board, a table. That is a chest. They keep like props and things there during shows. There's the stage. I'll show you guys that in just a second, but I want to bring you guys this way. That is our stage door. That is outside. This is our green room, which I love. We have another bathroom. We have a little kitchen. Ignore all the jackets. Like I said, the theater is very busy and very full today. Lots of people are here. But the green room is just a really important part of TDS history because here is the map. Let me wide angle that for you guys so you can see it. There's the map. And then on this side, we have the quilt version of the map. And I like the green room, not only because, like, obviously it's the green room, that's where you hang out in between shows and that sort of thing. Although sometimes the actors will just opt to hang out in the dressing room, which is cool too. You just can't eat in costume. But I like this green room specifically because of these maps. This was part of the first ever production that Theater Erindale did here, like at the birth of the program. It was called The Farm Show. It's a Canadian play. If you are in this program, you'll probably learn about it because it is a Canadian play, and it is important to the history of our program. And the cast of that show signed it, and then since then, every graduating class has signed the map. So this is a collection of every single TDS grad, which is neat. And then that map started getting really full, and then there was the pandemic, so people couldn't sign it in person anymore. So then we started doing this quilt. So there is a scan of the map, and then you'll see around are all these quilt squares. And then at the end of your third year, you get to add a quilt square to the map instead of signing it, which is really neat. Mine is right there. That one's me, the red one with the axe on it. Hashtag Labris, if you know, you know. But yeah, it's just a cool little piece of TDS history that we have preserved in the green room, and then sitting in here reminds us of how many people have come here before, how many people are going to come after, just the beauty of this program, the connections that we make, even for people who graduate before you come here. You know, you're out in the wild, you're out in the industry. Oh, I'm a TDS grad. Oh, me too. Instant connection. Boom. And that's just cool. Yeah, I'll show you the theater space now because that brings me to the end of our backstage areas. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the theater space. Thanks, guys, for the drum roll. This is the view right now because it is being struck from The Alchemist. So we still have some risers out, but they are in the process of being taken down. Hence that stack of chairs you saw. That was the lobby, and you saw the chairs there earlier. We just came from the entrance for backstage, but there's also another entrance there and another one there. But yeah, she's in construction right now. The Erindale Studio Theater is a black box theater space, which means that it is fully configurable. So is the MiST Theater. It's slightly less configurable, but it's still technically a black box. I'll show you guys that after. But what that means is that it's the seating and the way, like where the stage is entirely for whatever the needs of the show are. So right now we are set up in proscenium, so that means we have the risers here, and then the stage would have been here. This like walkway painted on was part of the stage, and then you view the stage like from one angle. We've also had alley seating, so the stage like cut through the middle of the room, and then the seats were on like the left and right. That was for a play called The Wolves. It was about soccer, and we had like turf that went all the way up the wall across the ground and then up the opposite wall. That was neat. We've also done theater in the round. Most recently, The Birds was in the round. Revolt, which was the first show of the season, actually had very little seating. It was technically in the round, but we had taken everything out of the theater and then built the set in the space, and it was like a minimal set, and it was supposed to be like an art gallery, and the idea was that you were in the space with us, like walking around. That was neat. We've done thrust configurations, so seating on three sides. We did a show where it was technically thrust, but it was like the show was primarily like in the corner, and then the audience was like kind of on a diagonal. Lots of different ways that this theater is set up, which is just neat. Lots of different ways for us to perform, lots of different experiences for young actors before they emerge into the industry. Pretty much brings me to the end of the tour of the Erindale Studio Theater. I'll show you guys a couple more little spots. This is the underworld. It's just at the back. That's where we keep like equipment and things. just a handy little storage space, and it's just cool to know that it's there. And then I come through the lobby. Here's the door to the box office booth. And then if we come up these stairs, we're back in the lobby, by the way. Up these stairs is the lighting and sound, like the tech booth. Get this door open. And here she is. Ooh, there is our booth. Window that overlooks the theater. And then during shows, this is where the stage manager and the lighting and sound off hang out and run the show, which is just neat. You guys that do tech are really strong and really brave, and I'm really thankful for you. And it's just cool that we have such a cool board. Like, look at that. I don't know anything about these things. But I have an interview that will be dropping after this video with Mike Slater, and he will tell you guys all about the lighting and sound things that we have here. And it's just cool. I don't know anything about tech, so it's especially exciting to me. Let's hit the lights, and then let's head back down. That brings me to the end of the tour of just the Erindale Studio Theater. I'll bring you guys to the MiST in a second. I just love this theater space. It's so configurable. It's so awesome. Is there anything I'm forgetting? No, I think that's it. To the MiST. I'm currently just outside the MiST Theater. Before we go in there to show you what they're all about, I actually did forget something in the last clip. I wanted to mention that something cool about our theater spaces, like in general and like our theater program at large, but it's evidenced through the theater spaces, is that most things for our shows are built in-house. Most of our wardrobe pieces, most of our sets, most of our props. You didn't see the prop workshop because it is actually not in the theater. It is just in the next building over in Deerfield, just next to the rehearsal halls that I showed you in the last video, actually. But yeah, everything is created here, which is just neat. And obviously anything we can't create here, we outsource. But most things are created by our own teams, and students have a chance to help with those things in first and second year, which is just super cool. It's Theater Erindale is very, TDS is very all hands on deck, which is, I like it. You get to learn lots of skills that you wouldn't learn if you were just in an acting program. Yeah, let's go take a look at the MiST. Here is the MiST Theater. This is our second performance space on campus, and primarily in the MiST Theater. Check her out. Primarily in the MiST Theater, this is where we have our third year classical project, our devised project. Yeah, the studio series lives in this theater. Features of the MiST Theater. I'm currently standing on the stage. This is also technically a black box theater, so it is partially configurable. I wouldn't say that it's as configurable as our Erindale Studio Theater, but it still is. Right now I'm standing on the stage, and then the seats behind me, they're in the proscenium setup, same as we saw in the last one, but we can also do thrust if we bring the seats over here, and also on this side. I'm sure you could do in the round here. A show that they did a couple years ago, was before I got here, they did The Hobbit, and they actually, because if you see above me, the MiST Theater has a balcony, which is neat, and the staircase is right there. So for The Hobbit, they actually had the performance space down here, and then the audience was in the balcony looking down, and it was like looking down into Middle Earth, which is really cool. I love this theater also. You get to perform here in third year. Like I said, it's the studio series, it's not the main stage series, but it's a very good space also. Yeah, let me show you guys around. Backstage first. So here is a little track to cross left and right. Here is the wing on this side, and then on that side there's also a small wing. Coming through here, there's a little room in there, and there's like a couch. This is like our backstage area, so where you're hanging out when you're on deck, but you don't want to stand just in the wings, because the wings in the MiST are a little bit tight. And then if you come this way, this is like our backstage area, first aid kit, obvi, and then bathroom. And then here is our MiST Theater dressing room. Ba-bam! Hello! Yeah, I have the lights off right now. Here it is. Each mirror has lights. Let's hit some lights. Each mirror has some lights. Unlike the other dressing room where all the lights were connected to like a main light, and you could turn on like one side of the wall or the other side, each mirror has its own light, which is cool. Yeah, that is an exit just to the hallway. I'll show you guys this way too. And if you come out here, that is the main area of the building that we're in, the CT building. Yeah, that is the end of the MiST backstage. I'll show you guys the balcony next. Bye. Let's walk this track across to the other side of the stage. Ooh. Let's see what's over here. Here we have the wing on this side, and you can see here's just another view of the theater. Oh, here, this door is open. This is the backstage area. Props table, taped out for presumably Romeo and Juliet, the last thing that was done in here. Like I said, there's a little couch, another mirror for any last minute checking your costume out before you go on stage. And yes, let's go upstairs. We're heading up the stairs up to the balcony. And here's the balcony. So it goes all the way over there. Here's the view. Wow, very exciting. So imagine, okay, you're sitting up here. You're looking down. What is happening down there? Middle Earth is happening down there. And there's also like a dragon and actors. And also the ground is painted to look like a map. Like, isn't that so cool? I love configurable theater spaces. But yeah, this is the seats are over here. There's obviously less seating up here, but there is still some. Here is the booth up here, lighting and sound. Stage manager, currently How the Grinch Stole Christmas is up for sound checking, which is neat. I love that movie. Shout out. But yeah, this is the balcony. That brings me to the end of this episode of our space tours. I've taken you through the Studio Theater, Erindale Studio Theater. I've taken you through the MiST. At this point, you've seen pretty much all of the special spaces that our program offers. You've seen the rehearsal halls, you've seen TDS Valley, you've seen our workshops, you've seen our performance spaces. You've gotten a sense for everything really that makes our program so special in a physical sense. The next video that's going to be dropping is an interview with Mike Slater. We'll talk about the technical details of these very spaces. And then I have another interview dropping, talking to some students just about what it's like to be in the program, what it's like to hang out in Deerfield Hall, TDS Valley, and all that sort of thing. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.